So I started self-medicating with $100 a day habit, and that habit escalated to $1,000 a day.
Wow.
Right, in a very short time.
Yeah.
Whilst I was on ice, I lost my father, I lost my mother, I lost my brother, and I also lost my baby daughter.
Oh my God. So sorry to hear that.
In a short period of time.
Wow.
I started dealing ice to pay for my drug habit.
Yeah.
I was attacked by 3 guys trying to stand over me for drugs and money. I was shot in the leg, and I was stabbed 3 times in the back of the neck. My life went through a downward spiral in a very big hurry.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine each piece like magnified the other, right? Like you can imagine, you just be like, okay, more ice, more ice, more ice.
More and more ice. I already started getting into a little bit of trouble, so a little bit more didn't matter, a little bit more didn't matter, and before I knew it, the police were following me everywhere, and they had a right to. Yeah, I was mixing with some unsavory characters. Yeah. In actual fact, I'd lost the will to live. That year, I had 5 suicide attempts.
Yeah, what year was this? What year were we talking about here?
Oh, look, we're talking between 2012 to 2014, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, roughly around there.
In Melbourne.
In Melbourne.
Yep.
My life got very tough.
Yeah.
And all I saw was a very dark hole for a long time. I'd been to that many funerals, whether it was friends or whether it was family. It was also friends, because I lived in that drug world. Yep. All of a sudden, there was that many people I knew that were dropping from drugs as well.
Yeah.
So death was a common thing for me.
Yeah.
And I honestly thought that's where I was going to go.
Yeah.
My wife left me, my kids left me, and I didn't blame them, because I was a drug addict.
Yeah.
I can't remember how many times I've let my kids down for the amount of times I was supposed to go and pick them up, and I never turned up because I was waiting for someone to drop off money or drop off drugs, or and today that's a really hard pill to swallow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So after police raid, I end up in jail.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they found drugs on me numerous times, and I end up doing a 12-month sentence in jail.
Yeah. Right.
And that was the lowest point for me. But it was a huge wake-up call as well.
Yeah.
I used that time in jail to rehabilitate myself.
Right.
Now there are plenty of drugs.
Did they just throw you out of interest? Is it just a cold turkey situation, like when you bang, just close the door, you just deal with it?
Yeah, and what made it worse, it was I went to jail just after they had the riots at the Melbourne Remand Centre. So they took all the cigarettes out of the jails in Australia, and in Melbourne they rioted and they demolished the jail. So they were under really strict conditions, and everybody was in lockdown. So I did the first 5 months of my sentence in 22 hours of lockdown.
Oh man!
Right? If that wasn't a wake up call to come down off 5 or 6 years of drugs. And realizing the grief that I had lost all those family members, lost my family completely, and been locked in this stinking jail cell, nothing was a bigger wake up call than that. Yeah, so I had to do it tough. Yeah.
Wow.
But so whilst I was in prison, I tried to do as many programs and courses as I could.
Yeah.
There's a lot of there's a big waiting period. For any courses in jail. So some of the courses I applied for had a 7-month waiting period.
Yeah, right.
Right. And because I only had a 12-month sentence, I wasn't eligible to apply for the course.
Yeah.
So what I did is I just persisted every day. I thought, even if I can get a few hours in or a day in of this program or that program, if I could pick any tools to better myself once I was released, I could use those tools for when I got out of jail.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
If you got a good prison guard, they would make a phone call and try and get you into the course. If you got a bad one, they just tell you where to go. you know. So it's pretty hit and miss too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, I was released from prison, and I was released on a corrections order. So I had an 18-month corrections order. So I still wasn't a free man. I still had to do 380 hours community work, a men's behaviour program. I had to do a drug and alcohol program. I had to do a mental health program. So I had to do all of this stuff once a week, as well as try and live.
Yeah.
I was homeless.
Sorry to jump in there, but I mean, because I'm just thinking about, how you kind of juggle the process of trying to, I guess, make an honest living with all that stuff as well. Like, so how many hours would that use up?
Well, an appointment. You really had an appointment every day.
Yeah,
right. Or at least 4 days a week.
Yeah.
And the community work was at least 1 to 2 full days a week.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because the idea was to try and knock the community work off as quick as I could, so I could go get a full-time job.
Yeah.
I couldn't survive on Centrelink. I'd never been on Centrelink in my life.
Yeah, it's useless anyway, isn't it?
That's terrible. When I was released from jail, I was released to a boarding house.
Yeah.
The boarding house that the jail released me to was a drug-infested den.
Oh my God, this is disaster. It's a joke, isn't it?
Disaster. It's
just ridiculous.
Yeah. You're almost set up to fail. So, mind you, that boarding house was $200 a week, and Centrelink was $520 a fortnight. So I was left to live on $60 a week.
Yeah.
I could not even stay one night in this drug den. I knocked on the door. The lady that answered the door was off her face on heroin. She's pointing down the hallway of this putrid house, unlocking 3 padlocks on this door, and says that I've got to lock the door every time I go to the toilet because the guy, everything goes missing in your room. She opens the door and the room stunk of urine. She said the guy in the room next to you urinates on the wall and it goes through into your room. There were syringes on the carpet, and it was just it was a blood-filled mattress. No blankets, no linen, no nothing. I just got out of jail with the clothes on my back.
Yeah.
And this is where I was supposed to start my new life. My jail cell was cleaner.
Yeah.
So that was another huge hurdle I had to overcome was trying to find somewhere clean to live.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then having to try and find employment. And this is where I'm getting to in the story of the social enterprise. Okay.
Yeah.
So, these were the huge struggles a lot of men and women go through when they come out of prison. And this is why a lot of men and women return back to prison. In Victoria, over 47% of men return back to prison within the first 2 years of them coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And half the issue is because they cannot find, they're homeless, so they can't find living arrangements.
Yeah.
And B, it's impossible for them to get a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. Like I always say that, courtesy of my own mishaps and journey, like I've realised that unless you've literally walked in someone else's shoes, like their exact shoes, like, do not be quick to judge. So many people, so fast to make a call. Like I even remember being younger and talking amongst friends and talking about like addicts and like heroin addicts and stuff like that, and just having no compassion for homeless people, no compassion, just like, oh, they've done it to themselves, like, and also thought, oh, the government must have stuff out there to look after them. They obviously don't want to take it. Then, too bad, too sad. But I mean, now I've learnt through my own journey and also conversations like this and just watching some of the stuff that they put out on SBS and what have you, it's just abysmal. Like, and that's the thing, like, you got to put yourself into the shoes of somebody who knew a way before to make, like, not just a little bit of money, probably quite a lot of money, and that avenue is always going to be there for them, but that's the avenue that's going to take them back to jail.
I was exactly the same as you. I would see someone who was a drug addict and think, oh, just a junkie, or someone homeless and think, if you want help, you can really get help. Yeah. It's far from easy. It's far from easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's not a great deal of help out there, and even little things like just trying to get Centrelink organised for a homeless person. If you've got no fixed address and you've lost all your identification, how are you going to get a birth certificate sent to you? How are you going to get a Medicare care card? Absolutely impossible. You think there's somebody that can arrange it for you? No. That's how people stay homeless.
Yeah.
That's how the hole deepens. But let's not lose track of my story, and then we can get back to So after I got out of jail, struggling on $60 a week, needing a job, living in this boarding house, which actually I moved from that boarding house. I moved into a better boarding house, a drug-free boarding house.
Yeah.
I had one living relative left. He was my brother, and he moved me out of that boarding house into a drug-free boarding house.
Right.
He put the money up. Yeah. But I needed a job.
Yeah.
Every time I applied for a job, as soon as they saw a criminal record, nobody wanted to know me. As soon as they saw that I couldn't work this day or work that day, they didn't want to know me.
Yeah.
And that's where this little non-for-profit social enterprise called Fruit to Work came in.
Yes.
So Fruit to Work.
Just to put a picture on that, since from the time you left prison, going through that journey of all those challenges, how long until you then found Fruit to Work?
So I left prison on October the 11th, 2016.
Yeah.
And I started at Fruit to Work in February 2017.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right. I remember that Christmas was the worst Christmas I had ever had, where I was starving hungry. I was going to the Uniting Church for food parcels, and they would only allow you one food parcel a fortnight. Yeah.
Right.
So going back to my old life would have been very easy for me.
Yes.
Going back to dealing drugs would have been very easy.
Yeah.
But I'd been shot, I'd been stabbed, and I'd lost my kids' respect. I was just starting to get everything back.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want to lose that again. So I really wanted my life back.
Yeah.
Yeah.